Committee for this hearing comprises Councillor Marie-Therese Rossi, Councillor Dory Schmetterling, and myself.
I am Councillor Marie-Therese Rossi and I represent Redcliffe Ward.
Councillor Schmetterling.
Well, my name has been announced. I'm Dory Schmetterling and councillor in Pembridge Ward, just north of Notting Hill Gate.
Thank you very much. If you wish, turn your cameras off now. If we have connection problems, you may have to turn them off. We only can run a few at a time in terms of the broadband width. We are joined remotely by Fiona Johnson from the council's licensing team, our legal officer, Lindsay Lemassurier. Also with us today are committee officers Nima Mahudin, Daniela Haley, and Jerome Treherne, who will be monitoring all of our connections and help with any technical issues we may have. Before we start the hearing for this case, just a few ground rules. Please keep your microphones on mute until you are invited to speak, and please make sure mobile phones are on mute until you are invited to speak. Do keep your cameras on when not speaking if you wish, unless we run into connection problems. Please note that the Microsoft Teams chat function is not monitored, so please do not use it. In addition, this is a public meeting and the chat would not be seen in the live stream. Everyone should have received the procedure for this meeting regarding the use of cameras and how to connect back in if you lose connection. Thank you. The case before us today is to consider an objection to a temporary event notice to be held at Front Garden area only, 198 Westbourne Park Road, W11 1EP. Now, declarations of interest. I confirm that I have no declaration of interest to make regarding this item. Do the other members have any declarations to make?
I have no declaration to make.
And I have none either.
Okay. The quorum for this committee is 2. As there is always the possibility that I may lose connection temporarily during the broadcast, I am nominating Councillor Rossi to be appointed as the substitute chair. Members, please confirm whether this nomination is seconded. Councillor Schmetterling?
I agree.
Thank you very much indeed. I confirm that Councillor Rossi has been appointed substitute chair. Thank you, colleagues. Now, there is a preliminary issue, so I will hand over to our lawyer, please. Turn your mic on, please.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. So this morning, the police submitted some late additional evidence at 8:33 this morning. Regulation 18 allows evidence to be submitted before a hearing, although our procedural rules require at 11.3 it to be submitted 5 working days before. However, it's at your discretion to include it. It has been sent to the premises user, who's obviously not here today, and had he been here, I would have asked if he wanted time to read the articles, but as he's not here, the articles have been sent to the committee as well. Can the committee confirm whether they are in agreement to the evidence being included, please?
I agree. Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, for clarity, I will outline the procedure of the meeting, which, as already mentioned, has been circulated with the papers and are online. First, the licensing officer, Ms. Johnson, will give a brief outline of the 10. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Good morning, all present, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Then I will ask the premises user is not here, so he will not be speaking. Then we'll go on to the police. Mr. James Rankin will present the police's objection. He will have up to a maximum of 10 minutes to do so. PC Mark Perry and Ms. Janelle Caldinez are also present and may be able to assist the members with any questions. Please, could you all confirm your attendance?
I'm here, Chair.
And I'm here,
I'm-
Chair.
I'm here as well, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then questions may be asked by members of the committee, the legal officer, and no premises user. Okay. After this, we will ask our legal officer, Ms. Lemassurier, to deal with any further questions she may have. Please, could you confirm your attendance?
Present, Chair.
And finally, we will turn to the governance team to see if any issues have been raised that we need to consider. There will be no summing up, and the meeting will be adjourned for 15 minutes for the committee to consider their decision. The meeting will then be reconvened and our determination will be verbally announced. I would like to remind everyone that the committee has read the papers, which comprises the main pack, so there is no need to repeat their content. But please do draw our attention to certain points and pages, and governments will move the document on the screen for us. Let's get going. Since a diagram was included with the pack, could governance please put that up? I think it showed the front garden. Thank you. Ms. Johnson, please can you outline the 10 for us and confirm whether any additional papers have been received?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning all again. We have before us today a temporary event notice which has received an objection from PC Calderness on behalf of the Metropolitan Police on the grounds of the prevention of crime and disorder and public safety. Mr. Roy G. Anthony Thomas Eccleston has submitted a temporary event notice for Sunday 24th and Monday the 25th of August 2025 to use the front garden area of 198 Westbourne Park Road for the sales of alcohol between the hours of midday and 7 o'clock p.m. during Notting Hill Carnival. A copy of the 10 can be found at Appendix A. A copy of PC Calderness's representation is attached at Appendix B of today's bundle. Relevant extracts from the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy are attached as Appendix C. The premises are located in Colville Ward on the north side of Westbourne Park Road, close to its junction with Paris Terrace. A map of the area is attached as Appendix D, whereas a list of licensed premises within the vicinity is attached as Appendix E. In determining this matter, the committee must have regard to the objection notice from the Metropolitan Police and take such of the following steps as it considers necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The steps are: issue a counter notice if it considers it necessary for the promotion of any of the licensing objectives to do so, or take no action and allow the notice to have effect. That concludes my summary of this morning's proceedings, and I can confirm that there are no additional documents except for the email from Mr. Tim Davis, which was referred to at the start of the hearing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the police's case. As the applicant is not present, Mr. Rankin, please can you present your submission? Please do turn on your camera if you like. You have up to 10 minutes to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Well, you will have read those articles in the press, and the concerns of Sir Mark Rowley, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, who has what are described as deep concerns. He has a well-founded fear that these events, these 2 days of a celebration of the largest street party in Europe, is not run by experts. I say not run by experts, not run by experts in event management. And his fear is that there will be a mass fatality at the event, causing crushing, similar to what happened in Hillsborough. And the police fear is something that our officers do not disagree with. What we have found year on year is that it's harder and harder to police this event as it becomes more and more popular, and as the police resources become more scant, and as Notting Hill Carnival Limited's resources become stretched. They have fewer stewards. And the event itself requires 363 days of planning. The police and Notting Hill Carnival Limited sit down and they plan for every eventuality. They cover off every risk that is conceivable and known. What is unknown, though, is the presence of the temporary events notices, because we don't know where they're going to be, we don't know how many they're going to be, we don't know who's going to be running them. What we do know is that the cumulative impact of these temporary events notices, and they run to some 100 year on year, they're increasing in numbers of applications. And what we do know is that the grant of these temporary events notices does nothing to prevent the crime and disorder licensing objective. I can't say that the grant of one temporary events notice to one premises will cause crime and disorder. But what I can say with certainty is the widespread availability of alcohol dispensed and free poured by untrained staff who cannot control the numbers, who have little or no knowledge of the 4 licensing objectives, from a front garden, unquestionably adds to the likelihood of alcohol-related harms. Now, it doesn't behove me to identify all of the crimes that took place last year. You'll have in mind that there were 2 murders. But the crimes that we have to deal with relate to the possession of drugs, drink-related behaviours, violence with injury, sexual offences, public order, and theft. And it is our unshakable belief, through years of policing this event, that there is no doubt that the grant of these temporary events notices adds to the cumulative impact of that. What it does is it impacts on the police's ability to respond. So imagine this, it's Westbourne Park Road, you've got Roy Eccleston doing what he did the year before. But what tends to happen at these temporary events notice sites is that crowds gather in front, and this impedes the police's ability to respond to incidents that have taken place. Now, the incidents that I've detailed to you are the incidents of recorded crime. In other words, those crimes that have been reported to the police. There are many, many crimes that go unreported. Many people having had their phones stolen, many people having been assaulted, don't take the matter to the police. And so those crimes go unrecorded. Now, your statement of licensing policy is really helpful on the parameters in which you will regard and deal with these temporary events notice applications. The first paragraph is 25.4. That they've got to demonstrate to you in their applications that the proposed activities supports the licensing objective with regard to the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, and secondly, not have an adverse impact on the existing high demands. Well, we've got so little information from Roy Eccleston that you cannot possibly be satisfied under paragraph 25.4. There's no event management plan. There's no indication of how many staff are going to be running the premises, no indications of any risk assessments. 25.5 talks about how they have worked with the council's events team. They haven't done that. Details of how they'll control the numbers of people at the venue. Again, no information on that. 25.6 expects potential applicants to discuss the contents of their draft event management plan with the police. That hasn't taken place. And finally, at 25.10, the licensing authority will pay particular attention to the measures that are proposed in a temporary events notice in the carnival footprint to limit the number of attendees to 499 at any one time. We have no idea how Roy Eccleston plans to control the numbers that he anticipates will be using his facility. And obviously one has sympathy with Roy Eccleston because he will say, well, look, I had one last year. The fact that he had one last year is no guarantee that one will be granted in the future. The grant of these licenses did not assist the police with their job of policing this event and providing a safe carnival. And that is why, with reluctance, we put forward this objection. The refusal of the temporary events notice promotes the prevention of crime and disorder licensing objectives in the view of the police. And that's why we invite you to issue a counter notice. Those are my submissions. I've got Mark Perry with me, who can assist on greater detail if you need to hear from an officer that has been involved intensely with the plans for this year's carnival.
Thank you very much. Now, any questions from the committee? Councillor Rossi?
Yes, Mr. Rankin, I'm particularly concerned about a crush at Carnival when there are just too many people and people can't kind of flow easily down the street. So could you say something? This seems to me to be on one of the main Carnival routes. Could you say something about the number of people that will be in the street at the time and the fact that it's on one of the main routes that is going to cause particular difficulty?
Well, you as an experienced committee, I imagine, will have attended Carnival yourselves just to see what it's like. And you will have gained your own impression of the throngs of people that attend. Mr. Perry, can you help us with the actual location itself and the potential for crushing and overcrowding?
Yes, of course, Councillor. The concern we have, as James has mentioned, is that the fact, because it is so close to the main parade route, is that when you have so many hundreds of thousands of people down there, it's very difficult to manage the flow of these people. And that anything that impedes that, especially where there's no escape, because there are houses close by, there are roads that are sealed off close by, if there is anything that causes the crowd to stop flowing or causes an impediment to their progress, it increases the risk of a crush. And when you have a vast mass of people, especially where there are so many children and elderly around enjoying the carnival, they are really put at risk by us being unable to control the crowds. And as James has said, our concern isn't primarily with the sale of alcohol per se. It's the fact that if people stop to queue to buy alcohol, they can cause that impediment to progress, which can then cause people crowding, which can then lead to a crush, especially when people have consumed alcohol and their inhibitions are reduced, their decision making is impaired. And we do often see, having police carnival myself, the fact that fights can flare up over practically nothing, people queue jumping, people having an argument with the people who are there. And so really, as James has said, what we need to do to ensure that the best as possible that the carnival is safe for everyone is to have these unmanaged events where they're not controlled by the carnival organisers, where their experience of running them is limited and their skill set is not as we would hope or wish, is that it increases the risk of these things happening. And we really are concerned with so many people there and the amount of stewards not as we would wish, that it does increase the risk of crushing, especially when there are so many people in such a tight, confined space.
Thank you. Any other questions from you, Councillor Rossi?
Yes, seeing as Mr. Eccleston did have a 10 last year, and I take the point entirely that not all crime is reported, but did this particular site cause a problem last year, and were there any crimes reported at this premise?
As far as I'm aware, and I'll be guided by PC Caldanez, who's there, Janelle is with me, there were no crimes linked to that premises. It was fairly busy. Officers were down there and they did note a crowd down there. But as I said, I think it's more a case of the potential for public safety, and the potential for disorder is the main concern we have here. There's just because there was no crime or disorder last year, or none that was reported to police, does not mean to say that there won't be any this year. And with the reducing numbers of stewarding and the reduced sort of police presence there as well in certain areas, the risk is higher, we say, and therefore the threshold for confidence for passing should be higher as well. And because there is no risk assessment, because there is no evidence of stewarding or how they're going to manage any of the issues that James and I have mentioned, we really do have no confidence in this to sort of like solve any of the problems we're anticipating or expecting. And therefore we say that simply the risk is too high.
Yes, it's also worth mentioning the licensing objective is the prevention of crime and disorder. It's an anticipatory licensing objective. It doesn't require you to actually have evidence that it has taken place. It requires us to apply our minds and our experience of policing this event as to what we feel are the appropriate steps to prevent crime and disorder. And the appropriate and proportionate step, we believe, is for counter notices to be issued in relation to these 10s. In that way, we are able to prevent, insofar as possible, the occurrence of crime and disorder.
Thank you. No further questions.
I'll call on Councillor Schmetterling.
Thanks. I just want to first comment about the potential comparison with Hillsborough. I think there's a big difference that this is effectively an open plan. I know there's many more people, but it's an open plan, whereas Hillsborough was an enclosed stadium. So, that's all I wanted to say. It's different. Regarding last year's 10 from this gentleman, do we know if he provided a plan?
Mr. Perry, do you have any information on what he provided last year?
I don't have I'm not sure last year, but perhaps if you can give me a couple of minutes, I can check, or if Janelle can check while we go through. I'm unable to say either way. Just very briefly back to Councillor Schnelling's point is that you're absolutely right. Hillsborough is very different from Notting Hill Carnival, but the numbers are so much greater here. Here we're talking hundreds of thousands of people, and obviously the tragic events of Hillsborough were sort of 20,000-30,000. But anyone who's tried to walk against the flow of crowd or stand still when the throng are making their way down knows just how compact and how frightening it can be sometimes, especially for children or those who are less mobile.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have walked through the crowds. Yes, there can be lots of people. That's true. I mean, I think this is it at the moment. If we can just find out if there was a management plan in the 10 last time, would be helpful.
Bear with me, Council. Sorry, Scott. Yeah, if you bear with me, Council, I'll just disappear for 2 seconds while I check our database.
Sure. Well, Chair, can I just ask in the meantime, who produces the map? Is it licensing?
Is it
Hello,
relevant?
Councillor. Yes, it is.
Pardon?
So the map that's on the screen at the moment, we produce it in licensing.
Right. What I wanted to say in the context of a 10 is of course, I mean, may I make a comment now? We're waiting for this, I might as well. First of all, for 10s, for carnival 10s or carnival, it might be really helpful to show the carnival route on there, because police raised a very good point, being very close to the route. I think I know where it is, but it would be helpful maybe, if maybe for the next few carnival 10s and in future to do that. The second thing is, of course, we've got the location of the 10 application 10 issue, but it doesn't really tell us where the others are, and I guess we don't know where the others are going to be because it's very early days. So in that sense, it's helpful, but if it would be more helpful if we got the carnival route in there, because we haven't got any other information. What do you think?
I agree, Councillor. I'll see if I can get the route on there.
For
Yeah,
the
we'll see what
future
we can
ones.
do. I mean, it may not be final by the times the 10s come in, but usually it is the route, but we see what we can do with that. Regarding additional 10s, you are correct. Sometimes we get them at least 2 weeks before the event itself. If we do know of any that are in that area, then we can put them on the 10s as well, if that will help the committee.
Yeah, very good.
Could
Okay,
I
let's
suggest
carry
you
on
put
now.
a disclaimer to say the carnival route is not finalised or something like that,
Yeah, we can do that, Chair.
Yeah.
Okay, let's carry on now with the case before us. Mr. Perret?
Thank you, Chair. Just to let you know that there was no 10 submitted by this applicant last year, so there was no risk assessment because there was no 10. This is the first time we've seen the applicant this year.
That's strange. Somebody said, did you say, or somebody said he was there last year?
I think that was spoken there. That's probably our fault, so apologies for that.
Okay. Because that's what prompted the question. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. What would be the escape route? Because his garden has a fence. What do you anticipate? I'm asking the police, please.
I'm afraid we simply have no idea.
Okay. Where will the police be standing? Will they be in one of our 10s? We did have an application where the police were just standing outside. And of course they would be moved, but if there's an incident, but they were standing outside. Do you have any idea how close the police are to this application premises?
It would be, I think we're still in the planning process for where officers are going to be deployed, but it's highly unlikely that officers would be deployed there. And even if they were, they wouldn't be able to sort of focus on the premises because they'd be dealing with other things. So I'm unable to say. I can say it's highly unlikely that there would be stationed there. And if they were, they certainly would not be able to act as security or assist the premises. They would be dealing with other carnival duties.
I see. And in your experience, these 10s where there is a fenced-in premises, do you feel that the fence is a deterrent, or do you think it can add to the hazard of crushing?
I believe it's on a case-by-case basis, but wherever you have a confined space and thousands of people, it always causes more problems than it solves, because it's that people have less room to react. People feel more boxed in. Their aggression and their emotions tend to be heightened especially if they've consumed alcohol. And in a confined space with so many people, especially in hot temperatures, it does tend to lead to flare tempers. And my personal opinion is that does tend to increase the risk of disorder taking place. And if there is a crush, if there is a fence and no exit, then of course it does increase the risk of crushing and pinch points.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all for me. Committee, do you have any further questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from our legal officer?
Yeah, just 2 quick questions. Is Westbourne Park Road on the main route? Do floats go down there? And the second question is, Who stewards Carnival? Is it Notting Hill Carnival Limited and the council, or just Notting Hill Carnival Limited? Thank you.
The first answer is no, the Carnival route does not go along Westbourne Park Road, but it goes very close to it along Ladbroke Grove. And secondly, the provision of stewards is Notting Hill Carnival Limited. They provide the stewards. The police used to police the barriers, but because of stretched resources, that is now the purview of the stewards, and thereby releasing the police to deploy themselves elsewhere. But there are not dedicated police officers on the barriers. It is, I'm afraid, just stewards in high visibility jackets.
Who obviously don't have any powers or arrest or any powers other than just to guide people.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay. Legal, Lindsay, do you have any other queries that you may have?
No, I think everything's been answered. Thank you.
Licensing officers, anything to add?
No, Chair.
Okay, governance officers, anything to add?
Nothing from us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we've reached the end of the meeting. The committee now has all the information needed, and we will retire to make our decision in private session. We will announce the decision today, so the hearing will be adjourned now for 15 minutes, whereupon we will reconvene and announce our verbal decision. The meeting is adjourned now for 15 minutes.
Mr. Rankin, are you happy to proceed without Mr. Perry? I think
Yes.
he's here now. He's here now anyway, so it's okay.
Oh, he's here.
Apologies, Chair.
Okay. Officers, are we ready to go?
Nima?
Nima, Danielle?
Hi, sorry about that. Yes, we're ready to go, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. The committee has considered an application from the police to a temporary event notice, which has been given by Mr. Roy G. Anthony Thomas Eccleston, the premises user, for the sale by retail of alcohol on and off the premises at the above premises on Sunday, 24 August 2025, and Monday, 25 August 2025, between the hours of 12 to 19 o'clock. The event for a maximum number of 499 people at any one time. The committee has considered the committee papers and the submissions made by the parties, both orally and in writing. In reaching its decision, the committee has had to regard the relevant legislation, the Secretary of State's guidance, and the authority's statement of licensing policy. In summary, the committee has decided, after taking into account all the individual circumstances of the case and the prevention of crime and disorder and public safety licensing objectives, to issue a counter notice under Section 105 of the Licensing Act 2003 for this event. This notice means permission for the licensable activities requested in the 10 has not been approved. The committee decided that allowing the 10 in this instance would undermine the prevention of crime and disorder and public safety licensing objectives, and it determined to issue a counter notice under Section 105 of the Licensing Act 2003. A copy of the reasoned decision will be provided without undue delay. If the premises user would like to appeal against this decision, such appeal must be made to the magistrate's court within 21 days from the date of notification of the full decision, but in any event, no later than 5 working days before the start of the proposed temporary event. Thank you very much, everybody, for your contributions.
I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Pleasure, and have a
Thank you,
safe
Chair. Thank you,
carnival.
committee.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.